Hi, my name is Bob Toth, and I'd like to talk to you today about a product that I've developed called GoCap, um, Enteral Nutrition Delivery the New Way. I am a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with nasopharyngeal carcinoma in 2000, and aggressive head and neck radiation treatments were responsible for decline in my muscle function, needed to continue to go through the process of swallowing correctly. Uh, I struggled with that for years and had to be converted to a feeding tube full time, and that's what I use every day at this point. From my own experiences, I've developed what I think is a better way for enteral nutrition delivery compared to the common practice in place um, that I was introduced to. Just some background, dysphagia is the term that describes my problem and most people that require a feeding tube is the inability to swallow food correctly. Uh, Instead of the food going down the esophagus into the stomach, sometimes can be rerouted into the trachea and then into the lungs. And that leads to aspiration pneumonia and can be quite serious. I've had it a couple times, which was one of the major deciding factors in moving towards the feeding tube full time. So what is an enteral nutrition feeding tube? It's a method of delivering nutrition directly into the stomach. First type is a percutaneous tube or a PEG tube, and another option is a gastrostomy tube, or often referred to as a button. These images are both surgically placed initially. The first one is a PEG tube where a tube dangles outside the body that's attached on the inside to the stomach wall and creates a port for food and fluid to be delivered directly to the stomach. At the end of the tube, there's a cap and a flange that a syringe will connect to deliver that nutrition. The bottom picture is a low profile button. This has a little closable flap on it, and you open it, connect a extension tube, and then you deliver nutrition the same as the PEG tube. And when you're completed, you disconnect the tube, close the flap, and then um, it's a lot less noticeable. It doesn't get in the way, and it's a much better way to go. Uh, it, this is what I've converted to and what most people convert to, and it's also changed directly by the patient themselves um, once or twice a year. So the connection to the button is made with either a right angle or straight connector. One full turn, it locks in. You deliver the nutrition through the tube. When you're finished, you disconnect. So what are the uh, standard nutritional supplement choices? Uh, the most common is a variety of brands on the market. They're basically similar. They're considered a polymeric formula. And as you can see the list of ingredients, corn syrup and um, a lot of different nutrients and vitamins and um, preservatives and stuff like that that uh, make up a protein and calorie dense formula to provide nutrition for a patient that cannot consume food by mouth. You'll notice some of these brands you may recognize. They're um, all basically the same. They average about 250 to 350 calories in a 6 to 8 ounce container. You also have another option to pick from, a blenderized meal. And what is that? It's pureed real food. You can take just about anything, proteins like chicken or fish, turkey, starches, vegetables, fruits, liquids such as milk or juice or broth, and you put it in a blender. It's a specialized blender, and you puree it, strain it, and then store it in containers for future use, or directly pour it into the syringes that you're going to deliver during that meal period. So the first option is a uh, syringe connected to a extension tube, and that is connected to the button. The syringe is loaded with either fluid or uh, formula or blenderized food, and then you push the plunger and that delivers it through the tube into the port and into the stomach. This method works well for both the formula and blenderized meals. The other option is a gravity method where you use the same syringe, but you take this plunger out and you pour the fluid into the syringe and allow gravity to feed it through the tube and into the stomach. Now the liquid has to be relatively thin for this, so formulas work well. Blenderized meals tend to be a little thicker, and it doesn't work well for this. People of all ages require feeding tubes and will go through the process in public or in private, as well as adults, whether they feel comfortable in their home or while they're out being active. You can do this yourself or with the help of a family member. It can be a little bit of a time-consuming process, especially for the gravity method. It's quite slow. I tried it, didn't like it. I wanted something a little bit quicker as I can tolerate volume of food without a problem. The plunger method can be difficult for small hands. Both options present equipment cleaning. You have to clean the syringe, you take it apart, you have to clean the syringe, the plunger, and you have to flush out the tube and the connector. The syringe size, being that it's only 2 inches, is quite small. My average meals are around 30 ounces, so that's 15 loaded syringes. In most cases, patients that have a feeding tube require all of their intake to be through the tube. Food, water, medicine, electrolytes. Some can take very little through the mouth, but just enough for a bit of a treat, but not enough to sustain themselves. The syringe and extension tube method, in my opinion, is a bit outdated. When you go through the process of doing this for an on-the-go person, you have to expose yourself in public to do it. You have to either hold up the tube for the gravity method or push the plunger and reload it multiple times for the plunger method. So you can be exposed and embarrassed in public if you don't have anywhere private to do so. And if people witness this, you might get questions that you might not want to answer. It can be very difficult to find a private space, especially if you're out of your home and in an environment such as a sporting event, or you're in the city for the day, things like that where you're looking for some privacy. It can be difficult. I've used public restrooms before, and they're quite disgusting and really not the place to do this. And also the multiple items that you have to pack up, the food, the syringes, the tubes, and sometimes you have to have multiples if you can't clean them between meals. So I developed GoCap. In my opinion, Essential Nutrition delivered the new way. So I took an existing product, and you'll recognize this as a flexible pouch baby food container. We took the cap from that container and combined it with the straight extension tube connector, as pictured here, called the bolus connection, and that created GoCap. This is a prototype that I made myself. I've made several of them. I use them on a daily basis. I've been using them for nearly a year now without problem and without failure. It's worked out quite well, and I'm very pleased with it. The two most common buttons on the market are the Mini 1 and the Mickey button, provided by two different companies. They both have the same universal connection of the extension tube, which is the part that we migrated onto the cap. So GoCap will work with the two most common button style ports. So how does it work? If you happen to have a source of nutrition that is in a pouch with a spout already, you just take that product, remove the cap, and replace it with GoCap, and connect directly to the button port. One full turn to lock it in, and you just squeeze the pouch to deliver the contents. It eliminates the need for a syringe and an extension tube. It's a one connection, one step process, and it's minimized versus the other methods. So again, just squeeze, and as the content starts to empty, I roll it up kind of like a tube of toothpaste until it's finished, and then I'll move on to the next pouch until I achieve the amount of calories I'm looking for that meal. Now, if you can't find a product that is prepackaged, you can do it yourself. I have found on the internet these reusable spouted pouches, and basically you can put anything in them. It's a pouch that has an open bottom, so you pour your contents in, has a double Ziploc seal at the bottom. So once you seal it, you remove the factory cap, attach the GoCap, and deliver your nutrition the same method as described earlier. And some of the containers they come in variable sizes. This one is 10 ounces, so I can put a lot more in with one process versus a 2-ounce syringe. I also developed a second option for the patients that have peg tube connections versus the button connection. So if you recall, the peg tube has the flange with the cap attached to the tube, and that's always permanently attached to the stomach. So I basically took the same cap and migrated a syringe tip to that cap. And you would fill the reusable pouch or the prepackaged nutrition source and connect directly to that flange and deliver the contents in the same manner. So if you're home or on the go, it's much less to prepare, much easier to clean up, especially if you're just using the cap attached to an existing nutrition source, because all you have to do is discard the pouch and just rinse off the cap. There's no cleaning of a syringe or extension tube. If you use the reusable pouch, it's 5 times the size of a syringe, and thus leading to much less packaging, no syringes, no tubes, and it's much more discreet and minimal process when doing it in public. And in my opinion, it's overall easier because you just have to squeeze the bag versus pushing a plunger or waiting for gravity to empty the contents with the other method. So these are just some images of me and my lifestyle, where if I choose to go fishing and I need nutrition, I can just take one from my fishing vest that I've prepackaged, connect directly to my port, squeeze the contents, and then back to fishing. Same thing on the golf course. Put a couple in my golf bag, have a few throughout the round, and I can deliver one full pouch like that in probably 30 seconds. And the last picture is of just of me hiking, and the same process. Now I can put water, food, things like Gatorade, um, anything I need in that pouch and deliver it through my source if I can't take it by mouth. The Feeding Tube Awareness Foundation in 2015 revealed that there's about 500,000 adults and children that rely on feeding tubes in the U.S., and that's at an 8% growth rate over the next few years. And there's over 300 conditions and diseases that can affect patients that would require them to have to move to a feeding tube application. The global enteral feeding device market, which is the tubes, the syringes, all the delivery methods, is about a little over $2 billion market in 2015, with a little over 6% growth rate estimated for the next 10 years. The global enteral feeding formula market is much larger at $6 billion, estimated by 2020 at a 7.5% growth rate. So who are the marketing targets for GoCap? I would think the primary target is the DME formula suppliers and manufacturers. They're the biggest players in this business. This is a list of some of the names you might recognize. All these companies make formula, and they also make some of the supplies as well. They're offered in multiple types of containers, whether it be a folded box, a can, like the previous slide, or these plastic bottles with a screw cap. So in order to market these companies, the ideal situation would be to have them convert their packaging to a flexible spouted pouch where the GoCap product can just connect to it and have a direct attachment to the feeding port, and it becomes a one-step process. If the companies don't want to adapt to changing product, a second option would be to include a reusable pouch with the two caps in every case of food that's delivered to patients on a monthly basis, where they would then use their existing packaging that holds the formula, pour it into the reusable pouch, seal it, put the Go cap on, and then deliver it. So it becomes a two-step process. Currently, there are not any companies in the enteral nutrition marketplace that has a spouted pouch flexible packaging. So it's a wide open market for someone to be the first to do so. And I think logistically, the pouches overall become a better option for packaging because they're smaller. Obviously, the weight would be the same, but volume-wise versus cans and bottles, your packaging overall would be smaller. If the manufacturer were to move forward with option one, it would eliminate the need for syringes and extension tubes, as well as option two. Also, they would just need to introduce the reusable pouch. It's definitely the fastest and largest distribution path. Another option is the baby food and nutritional supplement spouted pouch market. As you can see, these items are ready to go, whether it be baby food or nutritional supplement. The downside is that these companies are not in the enteral nutrition market, and their packaging is a little small, and their calorie per serving is a little low versus the average enteral nutrition product of the same volume. So there's some changes that can be made to have them cross over to this new community of customers, and again, it would be a process where no syringe is required. Another product on the market is Real Food Blends. This is a pureed food. I use this product now. It's terrific. It's what I can do myself with a blender, but it's already done for me. It's in a stand-up flexible pouch with a tear-off top, so it still requires either the plunger or the gravity method. It was developed by a mother with a special needs child. This is them in the picture. It's an all-natural pureed food choice. They have about 4 different types of meals. Since 2014, she sold 1 million of these pouches. And if they were to adapt to GoCap with the first or second option, as mentioned before, it's a possibility for them to grab market share. Again, currently it does require the syringe delivery, and her product is available through DME suppliers nationwide, and it's reimbursable through your insurance. Another similar product is Functional Formularies. This is an all-organic product with the same contents of pureed food in a flexible standing pouch with a tear-off top. Developed by a woman whose father had to be placed on a feeding tube. He didn't tolerate the traditional formula well. She created her own organic blend and switched him over, and he recovered to full health because of the improvements of his diet. So she took that product to market. Currently does need a syringe. She would have to convert to the spouted pouch for the one-step process. And also her product is available nationwide through DME suppliers and is reimbursable through insurance. And the last option would be directly to the DME enteral nutrition device suppliers and manufacturers. The companies that make the syringes, the tubes, the buttons, all the hardware. GoCap would compete directly with that. If GoCap was to be adopted into that market, it would probably have to be in a form of a kit where you would include a reusable pouch, the 2 caps, and a little cleaning apparatus to clean out the spout. It would probably have to go through the FDA approval process for a class 1 or 2 rating, and then also be coded for reimbursement, and it will not be carried by DME suppliers unless it does have a code for reimbursement. They're not going to carry anything that's a self-pay item. So final comments is that the overall food pouch market is growing rapidly. You're seeing many companies switch from boxes and cans and bottles to food pouches. The blenderized meal choice is on the rise in the enteral nutrition community. Most people that start out with formula switch over to the more natural products as it is much better tolerated. However, there still is a large market of people that still use formula. It's definitely a patient-driven market, especially in the nutrition choices. They're started off with formula as recommended by nutritionists, and then patients will make changes depending on how they tolerate those polymeric formulas. And overall, GoCap is not an inpatient product. It's strictly for outpatient. Enteral nutrition for inpatient facilities is often delivered with a pump method. So that market is not available. So that's GoCap. Enteral nutrition delivery the new way. In my opinion, it's better. It's something that I've been doing for a year. I have not gone back to a syringe or extension tube for some time, and I'm hoping to share this better way with a lot of people that rely on food on their food source through a feeding tube.